Tonight on Joy News Prime, staff of Ghana's Aviation Authority partially withdraw their services over what they say has been the encroachment and illegal sale of their lands with the connivance of the Lands Commission and Lands Ministry. The action forced the cancellation of at least 3 domestic flights, even though international flights have not been affected. In business,
Africa World Airlines, a domestic carrier, to resume flights tomorrow after the cancellation of flights following the strike action.
Now, Parliament yet to decide on the fate of FOMENA MP Andrew Samako, whose seat the governing New Patriotic Party says should be declared vacant after he filed to contest the seat as an independent candidate.
What his status will be within Parliament is a matter that we are studying very carefully with our constitutional law advisors.
The decision to provide bodyguards to members of Parliament is dividing public opinion.
Other areas where the police is more needed than just to escort MPs.
If there was a protection, I don't think the man would have been killed.
But the Deputy Defense Minister says concerns that the deployment will undermine the provision of security to the general populace are misplaced.
They are there, they say they don't have any problem. You are sitting somewhere and say, I'm a security expert, and they have a problem. He appears to misunderstand He appears to misunderstand what you are saying. He doesn't understand the situation.
The opposition NDC promises to introduce significant changes to the traditional working hours in Ghana to keep Ghanaians employed around the clock, as well as massive tax cuts, saying it has had a change in mindset from the previous John Mahama administration.
Some taxes were increased, other taxes were introduced for the first time between that period. Like I said, we cannot continue to do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. This is what we have done since 1992.
The governing MPP is accusing the flag bearer of the opposition NDC of resorting to the propagation of fake news to make the Kufuor administration look bad in the eyes of the voting public. And Supreme Court orders replacement of judge presiding over contempt case brought against Asing Central MP Kennedy Japan.
Respect the court system, and we believe that at the end of the day, what we want is for justice to manifest.
My name is Israel. Joy News Prime is coming to you live from our Fanofa studios at Kokomlimli here in Accra on your digital terrestrial TV, because you're free to air on DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 144. Stay tuned in. Scores of domestic airline passengers are stranded or were left stranded at the Kutska International Airport this afternoon following the partial withdrawal of services by workers of the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority. The action, according to the workers, is to protest encroachment and illegal sale of lands vested with the authority. They say the Lands Commission and Lands Ministry are complicit in the illegality. As a result of the action by the workers, Africa World Airlines had to cancel 2 flights to Kumasi and 1 to Tamale, compelling it to disembark passengers who had already boarded. We have more on the disruption to domestic flights coming up in business, but the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority has issued a notice warning airlines of the disruption, and it reads, "We regret to inform you that staff of the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority may embark on an action to withdraw some essential services, including air traffic services, from Wednesday, October 14, 2020, to demand the return of lands taken away from the authority. This has become necessary after exhausting all relevant avenues, including meeting and discussions with the executive management of GCAA and the Ministry of Aviation, interventions by the National Labour Commission and the Ministry of National Security, a letter to the Chief of Staff, a petition to President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and a recent news conference. The reallocation or sale of land strictly meant for aviation purposes to private developers poses serious safety concerns to the aviation industry. You would recall that some of your flights had been experiencing occasional breakdown in communication with air traffic control due to constant interference and heavy background noise on some of frequencies on since October 2, 2020. And so the statement continues and says, we respectfully demand government to stop 1, the threat and damage to vital communication, navigation and surveillance equipment and installations. the wanton demarcation and sale of GCA lands to private persons, the forceful eviction of GCA staff from their officially allocated bungalows. And it says the decision to withdraw essential services will be rescinded only if all activities on the land are stopped immediately and land titles by executive instrument and lease are issued in the name of GCAA. And this is signed for and on behalf of the coalition spokesperson William Amwako, and he leaves his phone number, John Sampa, and it's copied to Africa World Airlines, Passion Air, Jan Air, Air Ghana, and Aberdare Ghana. Now, in an interview with Joy News, spokesperson for the coalition of GCA workers, William Amwako, stated the activities of the encroachers on the lands at Ashale Boche cantonment around the AU village and East Legon are causing interference with air traffic control communications.
That it threatens flight operations and our own operations. So indirectly, the safety it raises a lot of safety concerns. We've had series of discussions with our management to see if these issues will be resolved. We've been to the ministry on several occasions. We start with the sector minister, and they have attempted on several occasions to resolve the issue. It's not been resolved. There have been some few interventions by the Labour Commission as well as even National Security. We have gone ahead to petition the president and a series of press conferences. But it seems those who have bought the land are adamant, and nothing is being done, and is threatening the very foundation of this organization and the safety of the industry.
So these are lands in which specific areas?
Yeah, we have two parcels of land. One at La Nkwantanai, which is about 614 acre land, and one at La Wireless. We call it La TS. That is where our transmitters are located. That's about 61 acres of land. Initially, it was about 92 acres. About 30 of it was taken for the AU village. It's left with 61, and this 61 has our equipment on them. And that land was actually leased by the last two to the governor, the then governor, in 1948 for a period of 99 years. And the lease is supposed to end in 2047. For some strange reasons, the Lands Commission and the ministry has engaged the people in another transaction where the 27 years left has been surrounded for a new lease.
And we will have more on the disruption to domestic flights on the business segment when we get there. Next up, we go to election headquarters. Leadership of Parliament is still contemplating what to do with a request by the New Patriotic Party for the Speaker to declare the FOMENA constituency seat vacant. This was after the governing MPP said it had expelled the MP for the area, Andrew Semako, for deciding to contest the next election as an independent candidate. The party is asking the Speaker to invoke Article 97 of the Constitution, which says a seat should be declared vacant when an MP leaves the party on whose ticket he or she came to the House. Majority MPs have been tight-lipped on the issue, but Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu tells Joy News a decision is yet to be taken.
We are studying the FOMENA case very well, and we are studying it within the meaning of Article 112, marrying it with the provisions of Article 94, whether he has become independent. He did not walk to Parliament as independent. What his status would be within Parliament. It's a matter that we are studying very carefully with our constitutional law advisors. Leaving means he took a voluntary act. This is an involuntary act. That's why I say we are studying it. When we are conclusive with our finding, we make public what we think, whether he should be vacating his seat or he should continue to be a member of parliament. I understand that there's some correspondence to the Speaker of Parliament. Have you seen it? I haven't seen it yet. Once we study it, we will study it within the context of Article 112 and 94.
Idrisu says that FOMENA MP is currently limping on only one leg in Parliament.
But for now, he's walking on a limping leg. That's why his leg, one has been broken. He's the limping candidate. He's a limping candidate now. He is suspending. Is suspending in the air whether he is, so to speak, a member of the New Patriotic Party. He has so been sacked, whether he should be recognized as member of parliament on the ticket of the party that brought him. That is why political parties will formally write to the Electoral Commission that they are supportive and behind this candidate. So we will construe it whether this is an action that is futuristic or an action that we can walk back with time. We advise you accordingly.
Staying with Parliament, Speaker Professor Michael Quay has confirmed there will be no by-election at MFANTSEMAN, where the MP, Eko Hayford, was killed by suspected armed robbers. He explained on the floor of the House Wednesday that the Constitution is categorical that if an MP vacates his or her seat less than 3 months to the next election, a new one is not elected.
Whereas Article 1125 speaks about by-election in such circumstances shall be held within 30 days after the vacancy occurs. It is qualified by subsection 6, which reads in very simple and plain and clear language. Notwithstanding clause 5 of this article, a by-election shall not be held within 3 months before the holding of a general election. And of course, simple calculation tells us that we are not within the 3 months since this incident occurred. Therefore, there can be no by-election by mere calculation and mere inflection of time. So let us not misadvise ourselves.
Deputy Defense Minister Major Retired Derek Kudro has dismissed concerns the deployment of 200 police personnel as personal bodyguards of MPs will reduce police operational capacity. He insists the police has more than enough capacity and that the deployment should not affect operations. Security analyst Colonel Festus Boaje had expressed concern the deployment will reduce the number of available personnel for patrols and visibility duties. Members of the public have also been divided over the decision.
Well, I don't have problem with it, but of course, I think government should look at the general, to beef up the general security of, everybody here in Ghana. Aside the MP, there were people who, in fact, were also attacked, and the common Ghanaian, doesn't feel safe.
I really don't see the use, because it's like we are in an election and it kind of like always happens that there are attacks on MPs because of seats and things going on. So, and there are other areas where the police is more needed than just to escort MPs to go and campaign and then come back.
I think it's necessary. They need protection. Why? Yeah, because if the MP shot to death, if he was to be having a protection, no one would have shot him to death. So it's necessary. They need it.
It's very, very necessary for them to get a security, each MP, or because if there was some protection, if there was a protection, I don't think the man would have been killed.
But Major Retired Kudru says the concern suggests a misunderstanding of the situation.
You rise against members of parliament as if we are from Afghanistan, as if we are from Congo River Basin, who are brought to come and put down here to serve the nation. Meanwhile, you voted for us. You're supposed to love us, get us closer to you. But you hate parliamentarians. And it's partly because some of you, the media, you incite the general public against us. We must be frank. So the Interior Minister is saying that, yes, they have enough police people to provide security for MPs and provide security for the whole nation. How many of the MPs do you want them to be killed? Before we ask of this personal security for MPs. I don't think you are happy that our brother Kwanzaa has been killed. I don't think you are rather, or you are shedding crocodile tears. Okay.
The concern being raised by security experts like Colonel Retired.
I don't want to hear security experts. I'm also a security expert.
Listen. But for example, they make the case that if you are taking 200 men off patrol duties, visibility duties, in the long term, 800 of them, certainly operational police work will be affected.
What work
visibility is likely to be reduced.
I am saying that they are visible all over the place. The Interior Minister is saying that he has no problem. You, the security expert, you are sitting somewhere and say we have problem. I am saying that 200 that doesn't cause any harm to the police authorities. They don't have any problem. They are there, they say they don't have any problem. You are sitting somewhere and say, I'm a security expert, and they have a problem.
He appears to understand how this works.
He appears to misunderstand. He appears to misunderstand what you are saying. He doesn't understand the situation. How can you say that until and unless all the parliamentarians come to realization or are able to solve the problems of the killings in the country, are we responsible for the killing of the people? We make laws. We make sure that government should sit up and make sure that everybody gets adequate protection. So if something happens, we call them to parliament for them to come and answer. That is our responsibility. We don't have cane here to whip. We don't have, listen to me, we don't have cane here to whip sector ministers. We draw their attention for you and for me and for everybody. And they sit up.
We should be concerned to enact laws to take care of these people.
Bring it. Bring the idea. You are okro mouth. Okro mouth. Okro mouth in the sense that whatever comes to your mouth, you throw it out. So let it come out of your mouth that yes, Parliament make laws that university professors must be given security.
Meanwhile, Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu has also been defending the deployment. He says MPs are also Ghanaians who deserve protection.
MPs are citizens of Ghana, basic. Like any other citizen of Ghana, they deserve the protection of their personal safety and security. What Parliament is simply doing, arising out of a need, is to demand an elevation for the personal protection of MPs within the meaning of the privileges and facilities guaranteed them as Article 71 office holders.
Should professors at the university be asking the same after one of their colleagues was also killed?
They are citizens of Ghana. Thank you.
The Minority Leader says MPs have also asked the Interior Minister to ensure general security across the country is improved.
Minister for Interior to improve the general security landscape in the country, not just in the run-up to the election, but at all other times. But we simply are saying that other Article 71 office holders enjoy a privilege and facility of self-protection with the police. Words cannot express our anguish at the manner in which our colleague life was stolen away by armed robbers. You see, policy is always driven by need, and we think that there is a need for members of parliament to be protected. Our work exposes us to some risk, which risks may be greater than risks that all other persons are exposed to.
You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break, but we'll be back with more news. Stay tuned in. The opposition National Democratic Congress is promising to relieve Ghanaians of the heavy tax burden they are currently having to endure should they be voted into government. The NDC says it will also create enough jobs in both the public and private sectors, as well as a change in the traditional working hours, so Ghanaians will be employed around the clock. Speaking at a news conference to throw more light on its ambitious plan to create at least 1 million jobs, Communications Officer Sami Jemfi said the party had identified numerous vacancies through its HR gap analysis and will fill them if elected.
We will create a three-shift economy. Given Ghana's small market size of only 31 million people and a per capita income of $2,200, we intend to embark on an aggressive promotion of exports, which will lead to a high demand for labor to meet increased production for both the domestic market and exports. To accommodate this anticipated demand for Ghanaian goods and services, the next NDC government will create a three-shift economy, especially in manufacturing and other high-end services, which operates 24 hours non-stop. Thus, the additional 2 shifts will be a source of additional employment for the people of this country. The human resource gap analysis that we conducted, which was commissioned by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, show that the public sector is not choked at all, and that our public service institutions are not operating at optimum level. For instance, the HR gap analysis revealed that the Ghana Police Service requires a total of 35,020 additional personnel to enable the service operate at the optimal internationally required ratio of 1 police officer to 450 civilians.
As to reconcile the current promise to scrap taxes should the party be elected with the introduction of taxes by the John Mahama administration described as nuisance taxes, the NDC Communications Officer said the party has had a change of mindset.
Societies evolve. Society is not static. Society is dynamic. Okay? Things have changed. It is not even true that we kept on piling taxes on Ghanaians. There were a lot of tax rebates that we gave indigenous businesses and other businesses in the country between 2009 and 2016. But let's even grant those who say that we increased taxes. It is true some taxes were increased, other taxes were introduced for the first time between that period. Like I said, we cannot continue to do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. This is what we have done since 1992. We have not achieved the desired results relative to optimum revenue mobilization. And so there has to be a paradigm shift. And President Mahama is saying that for his second coming, his focus is not on taxing the overtaxed Ghanaian in the formal sector over and over again. It's like saying that, Sami Jemfi, when you were at KNUST, you went to the US Embassy for a US visa. And at the time, your bank statement was in a very poor position, and so you were refused a visa. Is that Sami Jemfi the same as the Sami Jemfi today? Definitely not. I may not have gotten that visa 8 years back as a first-degree student at KNUST because of the way my bank statement was looking. But today I may get that US visa because things have changed. And let's also bear in mind that our resource envelope as a country has not remained static, it has evolved. Under the ex-Wal NDC Mahama government, we used to have access to just one oil field, the Jubilee Fields. That is what President Mahama used for all the projects and programs we undertook.
The campaign manager for the governing New Patriotic Party, Mustafa Hamid, is accusing NDC flag bearer John Mahama of resorting to the spreading of fake news following what he says is a massive rejection of the former president during his campaign tours. At a news conference in Accra Wednesday, Dr. Hamid also linked leading members of the NDC to a number of online news portals he says consistently churn out fake news aimed at misinforming the electorate, hoodwink them to create a false sense of insecurity and also court disaffection for government. His comment comes on the back of allegations by MP for Tamale Central Yunus Hussaini that a government official was arrested in the UK for money laundering. There's more in the following report.
The news conference, according to the party's 2020 deputy campaign manager, is to expose what he calls the politics of lies and deceit by the NDC, as well as the agenda of the NDC in setting the stage to reject the results of the 2020 general elections, and finally, make Ghanaians aware of the hypocritical stance of the NDC on government security interventions, whilst assuring the electorate of government efforts to safeguard election security come December 7, 2020. Dr. Hamid observed that as the country inches closer to the general elections, the NDC is beginning to pick signals of their defeat. Hence, its decision to bastardize the Electoral Commission and also prepare the grounds for rejection of the yet-to-be-conducted December poll.
These signals are not just a result of their inferior track record in government, weak campaign machinery, and an unattractive flag bearer who suffers a serious credibility deficit. Evidently, the MPP's grassroots engagement has received massive public endorsement, while that of the NDC has lacked steam, resulting in instances of rejection by the people, leading to the suspension of campaign activities by its flag bearer and running mate. We of the MPP have also not been surprised about the bankruptcy of ideas and inefficiency that have characterized the NDC's campaign. On the back of an imminent defeat, the NDC has resorted to setting the stage to reject the outcome of the yet-to-be-conducted December.
The deputy campaign manager also said the creation of fake news online portal forms part of the NDC's grand agenda to dent the image of the governing NPP. He cited some news portal he says were created by leading members of the NDC to misinform the public.
A fake news portal, graphicgh.com, graphicgh.com has been created to mimic graphic.com.gh, to churn out fake news that misinform the general public. And the purpose is to get the public to believe that such fake news is being published by the reputable Daily Graphic. Indeed, the NDC has registered and is using so many of such domain names to populate the internet space with a lot of fake news. They mimic established media houses like the Ghana News Agency and such other state news agencies. So they have, for example, GhanaNewsAvenue.com, into brackets GNA. So when you see the GNA, then you are likely to believe that it is from the reputable Ghana News Agency and therefore likely to be true. But this is GNA as in GhanaNewsAvenue.com. They also have BBCNewsGhana.com. So you are tempted to believe that this is from the BBC. And of course, the already infamous GhanaPoliticsOnline.com.
Dr. Hamid, however, called on civil society organizations, the National Peace Council, leaders of religious organizations, and chiefs to condemn the NDC's diabolic plan to misinform Ghanaians and create fear and panic in the country.
We're taking a break here on Joy News Prime, but still ahead, Africa World Airlines, which was compelled to cancel flights, is hoping the issue will be resolved before tomorrow.
Hello, good evening. It's time for business. I'm Charles Aite. Domestic airlines are rebooking passengers after staffers of the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority withdrew essential services, including air travel services, over the eviction of GCAA staff from their bungalows, sale of lands belonging to the GCAA, among others. Now, this action by staffers is said to have disrupted domestic air travels at the Kotoka International Airport. Domestic carrier Africa World Airlines cancelled 2 flights to Kumasi and 1 to Tamale today. Chief Operations Officer of the airlines, Sean Mendes, spoke to Joy Business and said they are hopeful of resuming flights tomorrow.
Due to air traffic control issues, which delayed flights beyond the closing hours of Kumasi and Tamale Airport, unfortunately, we've had to cancel 2 flights to Kumasi and 1 flight to Tamale this afternoon. At this time, we are planning to operate all our flights as normal tomorrow.
Sean Mendes there of the Africa World Airlines. Let's now bring you a summary of how this is impacting air travels in the country. And be rest assured on various updates we shall be giving you at, regarding development at the Kotoka International Airport. But away from that, the Bank of Ghana has been adjudged Central Bank of the Year in the prestigious Central Banking Awards. Now, the Bank of Ghana beat off competition for more than 100 central banks that were reviewed by the awards committee. This was the highest at the 7th edition of the Global Central Banking Awards that was held virtually. First, though, here is a citation accompanying the award presented by the Editor-in-Chief and Chairman of the Central Bank's Awards, Chris Jeffrey. Well, the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, in response dedicated the award to the staff of the bank.
The award reflects our vision to build a central bank of excellence that is well respected by stakeholders and further strengthens our resolve to continue to implement sound monetary and financial policies. The successful execution of our monetary policy and financial sector reforms and subsequent turnaround in the economy, which this award duly recognizes, has been due to the hard work of the whole Bank of Ghana team, comprising the board, management, and staff. Let me mention the support I got from my very able and efficient deputies and heads of departments. The bank also received invaluable support from the Monetary Policy Committee and other key collaborative institutions, including the Ministry of Finance and the Economic Management team in the pursuit of its policies and programs. It is fair to say that the 3 years of policy reform has firmly positioned Ghana's economy to withstand the headwinds arising from the COVID-19 pandemic. Tight monetary policy stance helped reduce inflation significantly and maintained in single digits and well within the bank's target range, and a well-anchored exchange rate. We also successfully concluded 3 years of banking sector reforms which saw an increase in minimum capital requirements, cleaned up of the financial sector by the revocation of licenses of weak and insolvent institutions, and a revamp of the regulatory framework to stabilize and strengthen the sector.
And we see a big congratulations to the central bank there. That's it for business for this edition. Sports is up next.
About the Gaming Commission, and they have banned celebrities from endorsing,
Yeah.
Yeah. We tried to reach out to them, but we couldn't get through to them. I tried to talk to DKB.
Okay.
He said he wouldn't talk about it. But Shatta has made a video and he's talking about it. He's saying that it's so sad that this has been done to celebrities. It started with alcohol.
But he didn't insult.
No, he didn't insult. Okay. Let's just hear what Shatta had to say about this.
With the sit down with these creative arts people, with the sit down with they ban alcohol, celebrities from advertising for alcohol. They don't worry anybody because somebody say, in the no sign am song. With there around and they say bets, people with celebrities with the advertise for bets. If you know advertise for bets, those bet games again. Bad man, make wake up. We're so sad. Maybe no affect me, but it go affect most of us. Not before musicians, actors, anybody within the creative arts. Go with that person. Wake up, Ghana. Wake up. Sometimes if I sit and watch the way we do one of things, Charlie, it is so sad. So sad.
No, Shatta.
Bring back the real Shatta.
Charlie.
Because the real Shatta will go ballistic.
Yeah, but yeah. I think he's really affected. I mean, even though he's saying he's not affected, but yeah.
All right, thank you very much, Kadi, and that'll be it for those of you watching on Joy Prime. But there's more news on the Joy News channel. Stay tuned in. The Supreme Court has ordered the replacement of the High Court judge presiding over the contempt case against Asin Central MP Kennedy Japong. This was after lawyers for the MP successfully challenged his involvement in the case, accusing him of being hostile. Mr. Japong is facing contempt charges for comments he made about a High Court judge, which a Deputy Attorney General Godfred Yeboah Dame on Wednesday described as scandalous. Court correspondent Joseph Akable has the rest of the story.
Everything is fine, and there should be no trouble or unnecessary speculation.
A member of Mr. Japong's legal team, FOMENA, had earlier described the trial presided over by Justice Wuni as healthy when they appeared before him at the High Court.
There is a trial going on. Parties are having a healthy exchange. There is a healthy exchange between the bar and the bench. We have had a healthy engagement, and we would want to maintain that.
The legal team on Wednesday, however, accused the judge of being hostile. They said he had indicated he was a live wire and would electrocute the MP since he had touched him. They also said the comments the MP made referred to another judge and not Justice Wuntauni. They urged the court to stop him from hearing the case. Deputy Attorney General Godfred Yeboah Dame opposed the application by Mr. Japong's lawyers. He said the application assumes that the mere separation of the High Court into divisions makes it different. He argued there is only one High Court and can take up any matter of contempt. He therefore urged the court to dismiss the application, describing it as unmeritorious. He, however, reminded the court that it had the power to grant the application if it finds that in the course of the contempt proceedings at the High Court, due process was not followed. The 5-member panel comprising Justices Bafo Boni, Yao Apeu, Gabriel Paman, Amadou Tanko, and Yoni Kulendi ruled that the case be transferred to a different judge. A member of the legal team, FOMENA, says they are vindicated.
At the hearing, you realize that the court itself took note of the emphasis we placed on paragraph 19 of our affidavit in support. And all of you were at the High Court. You were witnesses to proceedings, including matters that I would not want to make reference to. But we respect the court system, and we believe that at the end of the day, what we want is for justice to manifest, and that is all we want.
2 persons have been confirmed dead and others injured after a loaded Kia truck ran into traders in the Waliwali market Tuesday night. Eyewitnesses tell Joy News the accident occurred on the main hospital road, which is always crowded on market days. The driver of the vehicle, bound for Bolga in the Upper East region, is believed to have lost control after brake failure. One person died instantly, while about 3 persons were rushed to the Tamale Teaching Hospital. Here, some eyewitnesses speaking with correspondent Ilyasu Tanko.
When I got here, I met 2 Fulani people lying just in front of the car, and another 2 people were also lying under the gear track. So they called for ambulance to come. So immediately I saw that, I became worried. I was very sad. But we have to talk to the people. Only the place is always congested, especially on market days. We have been advising people to leave the road. So one is market day. So what I have seen, we have to intensify our campaign and let people know that it's not good for us to always be on the roadside, especially on market days.
President Akufo-Addo has conferred on Presbyterian Boys Secondary School, Presec Legon, the undisputed kings of the National Science and Maths quiz, for winning the competition for the 6th time. At a short ceremony at the Jubilee House, where Presec presented the winning trophy to the president, Nana Akufo-Addo said the school remains arguably the best senior high school in the country. Daniel Gakpoto, Benjamin Inketia, and Isaac Kofi Jenfi beat off competition from contestants from Adesido College and Opokuwari to win their 6th trophy after a 10-year drought. President Akufo-Addo called on them to continue to lift the flag of the school high.
This year is the turn of the Odadiers, who impressed the whole nation with their performance in the competition. You were 2nd last year, and you have gone a step further this year to the ultimate position. So I applaud the contestants, Isaac Kofi Jenfi, Benjamin Kwansa Inketia, and perhaps the most famous of them all, Daniel Kekeli Gapeto. And the reserve player, Faith Cyril, for ensuring trophy number 6 came finally to Presec. Indeed, having gone nearly a decade without winning the trophy, it is entirely fitting that the Akufo-Addo graduates, i.e. the first batch of beneficiaries of the free SHS policy, were the ones who have ended Presec's trophy drought. So I also share in your success. I indicated at Presec's 80th anniversary celebration that the school has become, for me and for many Ghanaians, one of the best senior high schools, if not the best, in our country. Indeed, winning your 6th title means that you are now the undisputed kings of the National Science and Maths Quiz competition. As an honorary Odadier, I am proud of this achievement.
The president also announced government is targeting a 60% science enrollment in technical universities as part of efforts to make the study of the subject a key feature in government's technology drive.
Attachment of Ghanaians to this competition is further proof, if any were needed, of the recognition of the important role science and technology play in the socio-economic development of any nation. That is why the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation have stepped up efforts to develop a potent science, technology, engineering, and mathematics STEM education model for Ghana that will stimulate the interest of pupils and students in engineering, sciences, and technology right from the basic level. It is the aim of government to enroll more science students so as to achieve our initial target of 60% science students in our technical institutions.
The Afufe Traditional Council, led by the paramount chief of the area, Togbi Adrakpanya VI, has condemned the recent disturbances staged by suspected secessionists, describing the act as criminal activity and a threat to socio-economic development of the area. According to the chiefs, the Afufe Traditional Area wasn't consulted and therefore not consented to any decision to secede and are dedicated to Ghana as a unitary state. Togbi Adrakpanya applauded government for beefing up security in the region and appealed for further deployment and equipment of police personnel at the various stations in the area. Brett Kwame Asari has the rest of the story.
On the matter of security in general in the traditional area, the Traditional Council wishes to make an urgent appeal to the government as a matter of urgency. Beef up police numbers at the 2 police stations in the traditional area. We further appeal for dedicated patrol vehicles for the 2 police stations at Afipa and Tajabu. This is important of any criminal activities in the area are to be nipped in the bud. On the matter of the secession, the chiefs and people wish to state their commitment to a one united and prosperous Ghana. As custodians of the land and custom, that the Afipa Traditional Council was not consulted and has therefore not consent to any decision to secede from Ghana. Ours is a peaceful area that has the potential to be the food basket of the region, of the Volta region, and the country at large. I'm sure we have all heard of the Afipa Irrigation Authority. We are among the leading producers of rice, staples like maize, cassava, and sugarcane. We need the peace to stability, able to attract the necessary investment into agriculture and the agro-business.
Well, General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Esedun-Ketia, has been campaigning in the Mansia South District of the Ashanti region, promising the people that deplorable roads in the area will be fixed should the NDC win the presidential election on December 7. The road network covering Manso Edubia, Manso Kenyago, and its environs is described as one of the poorest in the Ashanti region. Esedun-Ketia says if given the nod, an NDC government will construct roads with motorcycle lanes for the people. Prince Apia is following the team in our reports.
The terrible nature of the roads here in the Manso Edubia constituency has been the major concern and worry for the people here in Kenyago, Asamai, and Edubia itself and its environs. They say that is going to influence their votes come 2020 December elections.
Na wo baby kura na so di she bi kokuma so ma ya na ya mhehie na nsen ka ekweso adaje nim kura o se ka na munu o se ya be ka kontivia ti e kwa ne de ehia e pa se e se manso ya se no manso sama e kwa ne de ehia e pa se no ana se ya no me de me kwa de me hwe so de ato aba no timi nya hwe enti yesremo general mosquito o mahama se mba bua ye kwa ne de amufra se sabre ya na monhwe kwa ne ho asem enkamaye ne yanso yehu de ebeyemu because MPP kura na ye wo mu city no o ma kwa na da hwa be ka se sabiri yini buafo bia
yempio hwayo obi amwa ye wokwa ne ho
o urukwam mama be ma tentene gramo Sondramani Mahama woni chain omo me be chichi usti armaya na o urukwam yabra one o baba akufu adu o be se warranty boot wo fi da ya o be siri be tietiem o gba we unya ba fie na ani we be tietie ka bo se yes some.
Their concern was summed up by their chief, who also called on politicians to not forget their promises they make to the people.
Nanso ye wie na se nyame kura ya adom na se mkonya ba bi tena anya de bi se mo betuma ni dam de abahwe se ye kwan kura ka Ghana kwan ho ya hunu bebre enti mesra mo se nyame ya adom a kwan ne de yakuma so asemba ba bi.
Today, Johnson Esiedun Ketia, the General Secretary of the NDC, is here campaigning and telling the people they are going to fix the roads and even create bicycle and cycle lanes as a modern way of construction of roads here in the country.
Enunti meba mede madam fubitra kaimu yeba no afa kwa no so asi enti santimamu pani anam say santimamu no santimamu pa no amansia pa so no yani monto aba mai no se wakota de kakra bi wo district ha NDC insano adwuma amanyo something say don't know ubo ni mu na anyada no ada na akire no abo ho so awe.
But all that he needs is that the people here commit to vote for them come 2020 December. Will this affect the voting pattern of the people come December? Time will tell. My name is Prince Tapia reporting from Manso, Kenyago, in the Ashanti region.
Well, the General Secretary of the opposition NDC, Johnson Esiedun Ketia, and the NDC campaign team are currently, or were earlier, at Swami Magazine in the Ashanti region. And Love FM's Prince up here, he has been with them and has joined us on phone. So, Prince, what can you tell us, or what has the General Secretary been telling the people this time?
Yes, Israel, he's been speaking to the artisans at Swami Magazine, met to the leadership of the garages, and what he's been telling them is that they should change their pattern of voting and vote for the NDC, because he has realized, the NDC has realized that a majority of the mechanics are those whose monies have been locked up with most of the defunct financial institutions. Again, the issues about importation of salvage vehicles is something that is also going to affect their business and their trade, because most of them work on spare parts and fix them. And so they should change their pattern of voting and vote for the NDC, who, when they come to power, will fix all these challenges they have identified. Israel.
Now, what has been the reception he's received, knowing that the Ashanti region is typically the stronghold of the governing New Patriotic Party?
Yes, Israel, it has been pretty much interesting, because earlier today, the Johnson Esiedun Ketia and the NDC went to Adrian Secretariat, and over there it was an overwhelming number of people who came to meet the team. A mammoth crowd, if I'm not exaggerating, a number of people came there to meet them. So from there they went to Yamwase Ifija district. Over there, a number of people also came to meet them. So the response has been very much interesting, looking at the fact that Ashanti region is the stronghold of the NPP. And later this evening, when we went to Magazine, even though it was after 6, which meant that the mechanics and the artisans had closed.
Yes.
A number of people were waiting for him, waiting to interact with him and his team. So, and the response has been pretty much good as well.
All right. So when next after Swami?
Tomorrow, Mr. Atidin Ketia will be heading to New York, and tomorrow, the running mate for the NDC, Professor Genano Kokwajima, will be coming into the region and will start a 6-day tour of the region as well.
All right. Thank you very much, Prince Apia, bringing us that update from the campaign trail. Elsewhere, health workers at the Tafo Government Hospital in the Ashanti region are urging the government to immediately intervene and see to the completion of an abandoned maternity block there. The block, which was started by ex-President John Kufuor, is to, among others, provide accommodation for patients. Doctors say they are being compelled to refer patients to other medical facilities as there is no place to house them. Mohammed Nurdin reports.
When sod was cut for the construction of the maternity block, patients and staff were excited. It was anticipated that the increasing congestion was soon going to be over, but the project has been abandoned.
Our biggest challenge has always been with space. Originally this facility was constructed as a health center and converted into a hospital by virtue of an order from the ministry, without any additional structures being added to it.
Tafo Government Hospital serves as one of the major health providers for people living in the old Tafo municipality and beyond. The maternity block is expected to benefit other health facilities and reduce pressure at Konfonochi Teaching Hospital. Medical Superintendent Dr. Kwame Ajiman laments the situation in the hospital has been compounded by daily increase in the admission of patients.
And now as a hospital, we have to take care of the health situation or problems of the people living in our municipality. And with time, with the growth of the population, the space has become more scarce. Like the old existing space is far overfilled, that we hardly even have place to put clients. For instance, our A&E, our accident and emergency unit can house only 2 beds, and is woefully inadequate. So that at times, if we have more than 2 patients who need emergency services, we are forced to put some in the floors of the hospital.
Okay, I'm Elizabeth Apia, Principal Midwifery Officer at Tafo Government Hospital. My experience here for the past 10 years as a Senior Midwifery Officer or Principal Midwifery Officer, that the maternity wing has, so to speak, is the heart of the hospital. And the problem is that we have challenges at the labor ward where the mothers come to deliver. We have only currently 8 beds, and these 8 beds have been in existence for the past 10 years. And the hospital is growing, and we still have to accommodate all the clients that visit the facility. Really, when the clients come at night and the beds are full, if you tell them to go to different facilities because of lack of bed, there's problem. And we are also asked not to turn anybody away. So this has been a major problem since I came to Tafo Hospital.
Management are sometimes compelled to refer patients to other medical centers. Dr. Ajiman and his colleagues at the facility wonder why an important project should be left at the mercy of the sun and rains. Several appeals by hospital authorities to get it completed have yielded no positive results.
If we are able to get help to complete an old existing structure, which was started by President Kufuor and has since then been abandoned. We've sent out appeals several times over the media to the government, but as we are talking now, you can verify it yourself, there's no sign of work. There's no sign of work going to start on the building as we are talking now.
And there have been several interviews, a lot of people coming and going, but the situation still remains same. And at the ANC also, now the population is growing and the catchment center is also growing. When the women come like this to ANC, you find out that some of them are even under the sun for hours. That one too is a major challenge. And also when it rains, there's no place of shelter for them, particularly at the ANC. You see workers running, the place is flooded and a whole lot.
If the structure is completed, authorities can decongest the existing structure to provide quality health care delivery. A report by Mohammed Nuruddin.
We're taking a break now to bring you more business news. Stay tuned.
Hello once again, it's time for business. Investors are currently exploring Ghana's Creative Arts Center. Chief Executive of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Yofi Grant, says the demand leaves a challenge on government to make Ghana's creative sector attractive to local and foreign investors. I've been engaging him on not just Ghana's creative sector, but also the scramble for investors across Africa in the face of COVID-19.
Movie making hasn't taken off as a strategic part of our development, and that is where there is some interest. The sad thing, no, I wouldn't say the sad thing. In reality, though, if you look at most countries, movie making and film making and the creative arts have always been undertaken by the private sector. But what governments do is to create the space. And that's the popular word we say is create the enabling environment and create pathways for these innovations to come to the market. And I think that's where we are in Ghana today. And that's why GIPC is partnering with the National Film Authority and also MultiChoice.
We're looking at the USA, we're talking of $1.3 trillion, you know, when it comes to the capital from the film industry, from Hollywood. We're looking at Bollywood, the figures are astounding. Here in Africa, the players are just South Africa, Kenya, Ethiopia, and even Nigeria. Ghana often doesn't, you know, pull up its own weight. Where do we see the position of the GIPC in streamlining investments towards this sector?
Well, our job really is to bring in foreign direct investments as part of our economic growth agenda and create linkages and partnerships to deliver these things. I mean, all I'll say to you is the world should watch out. Ghana is coming out. I believe that we have the creativity, we have the innovations to make them happy. And we are, though we are a small country, we have a certain cultural diversity that is extremely interesting. And if we package it well and are able to create product out of that, we'll see some very interesting things. I mean, and I would not say that Ghana is short or lacking the creative space. I mean, my own very good friend, Sir David Ajay, is now a globally renowned architect. He's Ghanaian. He set up his office in Ghana. Although he has offices in New York, London, he has his office now, his main office in Ghana. And that should tell you something, because even he has identified that there is something good happening here that we could actually use as a stepping stone for bigger fortunes.
Ghana is opening up. I mean, economists world over are opening up. What's going to be that distinctive, you know, plan that we're going to be putting out to the world as investors now reposition their capital wings?
You know, I always say that the Ghana story can be summarized as the 3 O's. The 3 O's. The first O is opportunity. We are a resource-rich country. We also have land-rich. I mean, we have gold, we have diamonds, we have oil and gas. But apart from that, we also have land. We have significant land that we can use for food security as well as part of our industrial growth. So all those opportunities are there. But we are also relatively, compared to other countries, endowed with good human capital. And so we are doing significant reforms in the ease of doing business and ease of investment to ensure that we create an economy that embraces all and it's easier to work with. Because that's how countries grow.
Is there a rush for investors across Africa?
Oh, there is, definitely. Everybody wants their country to grow. Everybody's looking for capital. Then the last O is optimism. And why do I say optimism? Look, over the past 3 years, I said Ghana's economy has had one of the fastest growing rates globally, not even West Africa, globally. And so that gives the investor the confidence that, oh, this is a country that knows what it's doing and where it's going.
Well, away from the interaction I had with Yofi Grant, the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association says that Ghana's housing development has worsened over the years. According to Greta, a national housing census conducted pointed out that the housing deficit, which stood at 1.7 million housing units in 2010, has increased to over 2 million housing units just last year. Speaking with Joy Business's Emma Davis, Samuel Amegayebo complained that government needs to reduce taxes on housing development to enable the average Ghanaian have the capacity to purchase a house.
Unfortunately, the deficit is worsening by the day. I remember in 2010 when UN Habitat, and then at that same time we had a national housing census conducted. So the two data combined together, they were able to determine that our housing deficit was 1.7 million at that time. And if you look at how much we needed over a 10-year period, vis-a-vis what we are able to supply on the market, we realized that there was a big shortfall. And so adding on from that time, that is why we were able to say that as of last year or so, we then said that the deficit has gone up from the 1.7 million to over 2 million. And so we haven't done very well to overcome it, but we as private estate developers like Greta, we are working in a very harsh environment, and so we are doing our best. But when it comes to affordable housing, there has to be commitment from government to make it possible.
Based on our income level, how would you describe the flexibility? What's the flexibility level in acquiring, a house?
Well, you've touched a very important aspect of why we are having a challenge, because the general earnings of Ghanaians is very low. And so if you look at the various mortgage products that we have on the market, it only favors those who are in the upper bracket. And so if you had listened to the conversation we had on Joy FM, for example, you realize that Republic Bank was saying that the government housing mortgage that has been launched, for example, which is going for 11.9% with them, vis-a-vis what the general market is at 24%, it is targeted at the private sector. Now, if it is targeted at the private sector, who in the private sector can access it, even though it is a cheaper one that government has initiated? He said those who are earning beyond 3 million are those, 3,000, Ghana cedis, are those who can access up to about 150,000 Ghana cedis. Then the question is, how many of us get that salary of 3,000 Ghana cedis? So that alone is a problem. And so if we don't do something about the measures that will ultimately bring the cost of house down, or certain mitigating measures from the part of government to remove costs from the developer, I think we will just be talking and nothing good will come out of it.
And of course, the housing debate continues at 9 p.m. on PM Express. You may not want to miss out on this. That's how we end business on this particular edition. I'm Charles Aite. Sports is up next.
We have 29 days to the start of the Ghana Premier League, and the action is getting more intense in the back room, not even on the pitch. The president of Mediama Sporting Club, Moses Ama, has all but confirmed that star midfielder Justice Blay will continue to wear the yellow and mauve jersey despite strong interest from Asante Kotoko as well as other clubs. More in the following report by my colleague Haruna Mubarak.
Asante Kotoko have been hoping to sign Justice Blay permanently after he impressed during a loan spell with the Porcupine Warriors in the cancelled 2019-2020 season. The negotiations between the two clubs seem to have hit a roadblock as the Takwa-based club $50,000 demands appear to be exorbitant. Last week, reports emerged that Blay had gone AWOL. Communications Director of the Mauve and Yellows, Patrick Akoto, in an interview with Joy Sports, said the club was working on finalizing the transfer tussle.
Kotoko, just like other clubs, have made inquiries, and we are still talking. We've not been able to reach an agreement on the figures involved, and this is where we are, and that is why we are extremely scandalized and petrified that we will find ourselves in a situation where we have to be talking about an issue about tapping up at this age or this era of our football. It's extremely unfortunate. But like I said, discussions are still ongoing between the top echelon of some of the clubs that are interested in our starman, and we will hope to find an amicable truce to this whole telemundo which has dominated the major inches in the Ghanaian media.
However, president of the club, Moses Ama, says the 28-year-old will stay in Takwa to help the club attain its ambitions.
We were negotiating on his transfer back to Kotoko, but you know, I think they couldn't come on the right offer that Mediama is expecting. So we are going to discuss on the board today too. Their last offer they brought, but I don't think it will be very good for us to release him on that offer, because as if we leave him, we have to get another same replacement. So look at the tax Gophers has given us today. So why should we rush? We are not rushing, because we want to do is we want to be the part of the great clubs in Africa as well. Probably, yeah. For now, I will tell you he's staying. He's there. He's in Takwa now. And he's going to be happier, more than Kotoko.
You can see almost all our reports on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And especially on our Instagram, we have more there. Take a look at it. Joy Sports GH, that's where we are. We have reports, videos, soundbite, audio snatches, and more for you and for your information. Smith, and that's the sport for now.
And that'll be all for Joy News Prime. I'm Israelite. Thank you very much for watching. Up next, we bring you PM Express with Evans Messens. Do stay tuned.